Well, let's begin this bulletin with an address from Prime Minister Modi, where he is in Denmark and is interacting with the Indian diaspora. There, take a look.
साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन में सहयोग की अनंत संभावनाएं हैं। जैसा मैंने पहले कहा, आज भारत सोलर और विंड एनर्जी का दायरा बढ़ाने के लिए व्यापक काम कर रहा है। बायोफ्यूल से हमारे किसानों की आय बढ़ाने और हाइड्रोकार्बन पर निर्भरता कम करने के लिए बड़ा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बन रहा है। डेनमार्क की कंपनियों के पास इन क्षेत्रों में उल्लेखनीय एक्सपीरियंस भी है। इसलिए भारत में डेनिश इन्वेस्टमेंट के बहुत बड़े अवसर है। आप में से कई लोग डेनमार्क की बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों में काम कर रहे हैं। आप अपने डेनिश मित्रों को, अपने कलीग को भारत में मौजूदा अवसरों के बारे में जरूर बताएं। बताएंगे ना? ऐसा ना हो कि मोदी जी ने हमको तो परोस दिया लेकिन हम किसी को परोसेंगे नहीं। साथियों, यहां कोपेनहेगन यूनिवर्सिटी में विश्व प्रतिष्ठित नील बोर इंस्टीट्यूट है। आप सभी नील बोर के बारे में अवश्य जानते होंगे। फंडामेंटल फिजिक्स के इतिहास में वे सबसे इलस्ट्रियस व्यक्तियों में से एक है। उनकी इंटेलेक्चुअल उपलब्धियों के अलावा नील बोर इसलिए भी सम्मानित है क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने समय में कई टॉप साइंटिस्ट का जीवन बचाया था। लेकिन बहुत कम लोगों को इस बात का पता है कि नील बोर को जब खुद इंटेलेक्चुअल शरण की आवश्यकता होती थी तो वे भारत के स्क्रिप्चर्स की तरफ जाते थे। उनका यह वाक्य बहुत प्रसिद्ध है और वो कई बार उसका उल्लेख करते थे। I go to the Upanishad to ask questions. आज नम्रतापूर्वक लेकिन बड़े विश्वास के साथ हम अपने डेनिश दोस्तों को यह कहना चाहते हैं, कम टू इंडिया to jointly find answers to the problems of the planet. साथियों, जब मैं आपके बीच में आया हूं और मेरे ये डेनमार्क की पहली विजिट है, तो मैं आपसे कुछ मांग सकता हूं? सचमुच में? अब मैं मांगूंगा और आप मानेंगे नहीं तो? मानेंगे लेकिन अगर करेंगे नहीं तो? पक्का करेंगे? कितने लोग हैं जो वादा पूरा करेंगे? ये आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव चल रहा है। आजादी के 75 साल है। इस अमृत महोत्सव से शुरू करना है। कौन मानते हैं?
Well, that was Prime Minister Modi there in Denmark interacting with the Indian diaspora. A rather informal and engaging conversation, I must say, after back-to-back meetings with European leaders. In fact, I'm now joined by Danish, who is in Denmark. That was day 2, Danish. Day 2 of Prime Minister's Europe trip. First, bilateral talks with Germany. Now, Denmark. Take us through the highlights.
Well, I'm right at the venue, actually, behind these gates. is the address that's going on by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, widely attended, of course, by members of the Indian diaspora. He was joined on stage by the Danish PM as well, who was here for a long time. She just made an exit, which the Prime Minister had indicated would happen. So it was a joint address in a way. They both came together, both the Prime Ministers came together and addressed the people inside. And then she also made a small speech to the Indian audience and said that perhaps the people of Denmark should learn from the audience here on how to welcome a politician. And then she made other remarks as well. The Prime Minister here, of course, also focused a lot in his speech on the issue of COVID and said that right at the beginning, when the world was facing this COVID crisis, India was at that time helping out other nations by sending medicines and by sending other medical equipment. The conversation is still on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is still speaking inside. But of course, this was before this meet started. He met the Prime Minister at the official residence. There was a one-to-one meeting followed by a group discussion as well. And then India-Denmark Business Forum meeting took place as well, where businessmen and executives from both the sides were together. The focus now is on digitization, on green energy. In fact, that was highlighted because the Prime Minister, the Danish Prime Minister, actually highlighted that despite being so small, we are among the earliest ones to have a green energy strategy with a big nation like India, and that was highlighted very prominently by the Danish Prime Minister. As I said, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech is still going on, and tomorrow he will be having the summit level talk where he will also interact with the Prime Ministers of Finland, Sweden and Norway. So in a way, a very massive opportunity for New Delhi to engage with the Scandinavian countries, with the Nordic region, of course, keeping the focus very much on the outreach efforts of New Delhi in Europe per se, because we know that he was in Berlin yesterday. Today, it's Copenhagen. Tomorrow, he will be in Copenhagen for a part of the day, and then he will proceed ahead to Paris, where he will meet Emmanuel Macron. So it's an action-filled tour of the Prime Minister, the first major international assignment in 2022 that the Prime Minister has undertaken. So clearly, a lot is on stake. A lot of discussions are there on the table, and we get a glimpse of that today when we were told that around a dozen or so MOU or intent documents have been signed between both the countries. This comes on the wake of India-Germany coming up with 12 to 14 MOUs on different fields and different avenues. Just to sum it up, the Prime Minister is still speaking to a very engaging and responsive audience right behind me, and it will be perhaps few more minutes more, and the Prime Minister is then expected to exit this venue, and then he will be headed off to the Queen Margaret's palace here in Copenhagen for an official dinner which is being held in his honor.
Thank you, Danish, for getting us all those details and summing up PM Modi's tour up till now and also what's in store tomorrow. Thank you so much. We leave it there. Well, in some breaking updates, NTAGI meeting will be held tomorrow on the 4th of May on vaccine for children in the age category of 5 to 12 years. In fact, the meeting will also see a discussion on reducing the gap for booster dose between the second and the third dose. So these are the two important updates that we are expected to see in tomorrow's NTAGI meeting. Shireen joins me on the broadcast. Shireen, so we're given to understand two important updates are likely to be discussed tomorrow in tomorrow's NTAGI meeting. What are the details?
Well, that is right. In fact, the NTAGI meeting is at about 12 noon. And the two main agendas in tomorrow's meeting is the vaccination drive for the age category of 5 to 12, because already 12 years and above, there is in fact vaccination drive that is in fact going on. And with the increase in cases, with schools being open physically, there is a discussion whether to in fact include in the ongoing vaccination drive, whether to get the age category of 5 to 12 years to get vaccinated or not. Apart from that, the gap between the booster dose and the second dose is also something that will be taken up for discussion, because a number of experts in the country have been saying that with the increasing cases, it becomes inevitable to delay the booster dose after the second dose, and hence there should in fact be the gap, which is about 9 months, should be reduced to 6 months. So these are the two main issues on which tomorrow there's going to be a discussion. Based on the discussion, a decision will be forwarded to the Health Ministry, and a final decision will be taken by the Health Ministry.
All right, Shireen, it's a crucial meeting on the roadmap tomorrow. Thank you so much for getting us all those breaking updates. Well, from Delhi to Aurangabad to Chennai, India, which is already reeling under a power crisis, has now been hit by water crisis as well. Yesterday, we got you a reality check of Chennai's contaminated water in Periyari, also known as the Big Lake, that was once a sprawling water body. Today, we widened our reality check to expose the water crisis in Maharashtra and Delhi as well. In fact, first, let's talk about the national capital. Delhiites who are facing a harrowing time amid blistering heat wave have now been hit by water shortage. The level of water has dipped in the Yamuna River, resulting in supply cuts in some parts of the national capital. Water at the Wazirabad plant has dropped to a critically low level. Haidarpur plant is also under maintenance, while the Wazirpur plant has insufficient stock due to less water being released from Haryana.
हम यहाँ पर 1969 से हैं वसंत विहार में, इतनी बुरी हालत आज तक नहीं हुई। और दूसरी चीज़ ये प्रॉब्ली 2 की फैमिली सरवाइव कर सकती है, पर 3, 4, 5, 6 उनके लिए कुछ भी पानी जो है सफिशिएंट वाटर नहीं मिल रहा है। हमारे को जो डीजेबी की तरफ से नोटिसेज आते हैं वो हमारे वसंत विहार में 6 ब्लॉक में से 4 ब्लॉक में 1 दिन पानी दिया जाता है। 2 घंटे का प्रॉमिस होता है और 1 घंटे से ज़्यादा पानी नहीं आ रहा है। वो पानी सफिशिएंट नहीं है कि एक फैमिली ऑफ 4 और 5 कैन सर्वाइव इन दिस हीट एंड इन दिस सीज़न।
कुछ लोगों का सोचिए जिनके पास अंडरग्राउंड इतनी स्टोर करने की फैसिलिटी नहीं है, जो पानी डायरेक्टली टैप से और बकेट्स में इकट्ठा करके रखते हैं। ऐसे भी लोग हैं कुछ जिनके पुराने घर हैं या उनके पास स्टोरेज का तरीका नहीं। आप उनका सोचिए कि क्या वो लोग पूरी रात जगेंगे। कभी 2-2:30 बजे पानी आ रहा है, कभी 11, 11:30 आ रहा है। तो या तो उनको इंटीमेशन हो कि आज पानी इतने बजे आएगा, तभी वो प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं पानी को कलेक्ट करने के लिए। नहीं तो आप उनकी परेशानी समझ सकती हैं कि कैसे एक कितनी बड़ी टेंशन ही हो सकती है जहाँ एश्योर्ड सप्लाई नहीं हो पानी की और कोई टाइम नहीं हो।
मैम, आप लोगों को कितना इफेक्ट पड़ रहा है, आपकी लाइफस्टाइल में क्या चेंजेस करने?
देखिए, मैं बताती हूँ, हम लोग बहुत एक तो सीनियर सिटीजन्स हैं, हम लोग अभी 2 लोग हैं यहाँ पर, और हम लोग पानी को बहुत संभल के खर्च करते हैं। आप आश्चर्य करेंगी कि हम तो जो वॉशिंग मशीन का पानी है उसके आउटलेट से भी कलेक्ट करके उसको भी यूज़ करते हैं। तो हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट काफ़ी कम है, तो इसलिए चल रहा है अभी।
तो 10 साल के बाद अचानक एकदम फिर से पानी की प्रॉब्लम हो गई है। कहा यह जा रहा है कि हैदरपुर प्लांट में प्रॉब्लम है, पीछे यमुना में प्रॉब्लम है, पानी आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा। पर हम वसंत विहार वाले फील कर रहे हैं कि हमारे हिस्से का पानी आस-पास बांटा जा रहा है, डाइवर्ट किया जा रहा है उसको।
क्या दिक्कतें आ रही हैं आपको पानी की?
पानी हमारे पास आ ही नहीं रही सप्लाई, और कोई फिक्स टाइम नहीं है। अब परसों रात को सुबह 4 बजे हमारे घर पे हमने उठे, देखा कि पानी की शायद सप्लाई शुरू हो गई है। ऐसा कोई फिक्स नहीं है। इवन हमारी जो रेजिडेंट वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन है वो भी नहीं बता पा रहे कि फ़िक्स टाइम क्या होगा। वो भी रोज़ाना का बता रहे हैं कि आज इतने बजे पानी शुरू हो गया, आज इतने बजे शुरू होगा, और सप्लाई बहुत कम है। कई घरों में तो पानी पहुंच नहीं पा रहा है।
Well, Aurangabad is one of the key cities in parched Marathwada region of Maharashtra. Leaking and rusting pipelines and an abysmal water supply network add to the concerns. A new parallel pipeline was mooted in 2005 at a cost of over Rs 350 crore, but the project moved at a snail's pace. Despite repeated pleas, residents of Aurangabad are still getting water only once in 10 days and complain that civic bodies are doing very little. The Maharashtra government now has allotted over Rs 16,000 crore to replace these old pipelines.
ये तो महानगर पालिका के साथ करना पड़ रहा है, क्योंकि महानगर पालिका जब टैक्स वसूल करती है तब टैक्स वसूल करने के लिए वो उनके पूरे अधिकारी लोग, कर्मचारी उनके पूरे के पूरे यहाँ पे महानगर पालिका के पूरे डोर टू डोर जाते हैं और टैक्स वसूल करते हैं पानी पट्टी भरने के लिए।
डोर टू डोर जाते हैं, टैक्स वसूल करते हैं, लेकिन पानी नहीं आता है। सर कितने दिन से पानी नहीं आ रहा?
पानी ये लास्ट 3 ईयर से प्रॉब्लम चालू है।
हाँ।
यहाँ पे वाटर का कोई भी नियोजन नहीं है। इंटरनल सोर्सेज बहुत है, लेकिन प्रॉपर जायकवाड़ी से जो पानी आता है उसमें भी 8 डेज 9 डेज पानी नहीं रहता है।
बिल्कुल। सर कितने दिन से आपके यहाँ पे इस वक्त पानी नहीं आ रहा?
6-7 साल हो गए।
नहीं, कितने दिनों से यहाँ पर पानी नहीं आ रहा?
10 साल 10 महीने, ये समझे 10 दिन से पानी नहीं है।
10 दिन से पानी नहीं। और जब पानी आता है तो कितने वक्त के लिए आता है?
10 मिनट के लिए।
10 मिनट के लिए पानी आता है, ऊपर से कम पावर में फोर्स उसका कम होता है। 10 दिन से पानी एट अ स्ट्रेच नहीं आ रहा है। वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, कैसे गुजारा होता है?
मैम बहुत सी बार हम लोग को काम छोड़ के, जब भी इरेगुलर पानी का सप्लाई होता है, रात में 10 बजे आता है, कभी 12 बजे आता है, कभी दोपहर में छोड़ देते हैं, उसका कोई भी प्रोसेस है नहीं, उसका ना टाइम टेबल है ना कुछ है। जब भी चाहो तो छोड़ देते हैं, फिर वो सभी लोग को मतलब वो सारी सिचुएशन में भागना पड़ता है, पानी आ गया। और 8 to 10 डेज के बाद में जब हम लोग को पानी के लिए जूझना पड़ रहा है और टैक्स भर रहे हैं, सारी चीज़ कर रहे हैं, तो भी मतलब महानगर पालिका में कोई भी इम्प्रूवमेंट का चांस है।
यहाँ पे जू तक नहीं रेंग रही है। आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, आप यहाँ के निवासी हैं, स्थानीय हैं आप यहाँ पर, कितने दिन से घर में पानी नहीं आ रहा है? 6 दिन 7 दिन, कितने दिन?
10 दिन बाद पानी आता है, उसमें भी बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है। पानी आए तो 15 मिनट आता, पानी भरने वास्ते काम छोड़ के भागो, फिर कुछ मतलब इतना परेशानी होती है, पानी जल्दी मिलता नहीं, लेने के लिए जाओ तो फिर किधर से खरीद के लाओ, बहुत परेशानी हो जाती है।
कुछ ही दिन पहले इस महाराष्ट्र राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री उद्धव साहब ठाकरे जी ने 1680 कोटी रुपए पानी की योजना के लिए शहर को दिए है। उसका काम भी चालू हो गया है। शहर के कुछ एरियाज में या पानी की टाकी बांधने का काम चालू है, कुछ एरिया में इंटरनल लाइन डालने का काम चालू है। और आप देखेंगे कि नक्षत्रवाड़ी में एक पाइप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का एक कारखाना उसने डाला है कंपनी, और वहाँ पे पाइप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रहे हैं। और कुछ ही दिनों के अंदर, यही महीने के अंदर, जायकवाड़ी जहाँ से हम पानी लिफ्ट कराते हैं, तो जायकवाड़ी से लेकर नक्षत्रवाड़ी सम तक वो पाइपलाइन लेआउट करने का काम चालू हो जाएगा। और हमें आशा है कि आने वाले 1 साल के अंदर इस शहर को हर रोज पानी मिलेगा, ये व्यवस्था हो जाएगी।
Well, I'm joined by Shweta and Ela on the broadcast. Shweta, who got us the story from Aurangabad, and Ela, who's tracking all the water wars updates in the national capital. Shweta, let me come to you first. Water supply once in 10 days in this particular place in Aurangabad. Now, that's a serious issue. Has there been any visible action on ground from the officials to ease people's suffering?
Well, Shirley, talking about the city of Aurangabad, the situation is entirely grim there. And yes, people have been facing this harrowing situation where they are getting water once in 10 days, and that too for a very limited time. Now, when we spoke to civic authorities there, they are expecting that the situation would, resolve in upcoming 1 or 2 years. But on ground, there is no respite for people, and amid this scorching heat, we know that it's for 1 day in 10 days they get water. And talking about the pipelines, surely let's talk about the some minimal things which we have witnessed being on ground in Aurangabad. They have enough of water stored in Jakwadi Dam, which is very near to the Aurangabad area, which is near about 50 kilometers. But the water capacity is enough, but not really. The water reaches to every household. The problem lies between the pipelines and the water capacity tankers. Now, first, when government came up with projects, it really went in vain. In 2011, they came up with PPP model, that's public-private partnership model, which was of rupees 792 crores, but that was scrapped in 2016. But that again gave no result for people. And eventually now, what we understand from civic authorities that latestly rupees 1,680 crores have been spent on this water project so that Aurangabad people can get water. But yes, being on ground, we do find out that there is no respite to people, and people continue to suffer in Aurangabad. Sholin.
That's right, Shweta. In fact, also let me go across to Ela, who's filed the story from the national capital. Ela, so, punishing heat wave across India, and especially in Delhi, we're seeing water bodies dry up across India. And in fact, in the Yamuna River also, it has been, the water level is critically low. What is the government doing? Is there any action on ground to ensure that people's trouble troubles and suffering are eased?
Yes, well, of course, Delhi is bracing highest temperature in the April was hottest after like a decade. And in this temperature also people are facing shortage of water in national capital of Delhi. Let me tell you that the Delhi Jal Board is making arrangement, as they have said that they have like added additional water tanks for the supply of water, but also there is a shortage of water due to this heat wave which is going on. And also the Delhi government has to say that it's Haryana government which is not releasing enough of water. At Wazirabad pond, it's a critical
आराम से बैठी
situation
थी लाइव के लिए बुला लिया लाइव चल रहा है
because the normal level is now very down. Now the Wazirabad pound is around 672 feet, which is below the normal level,
Absolutely.
which is concerning.
Absolutely, Ila. So definitely it is concerning because water levels are below normal level, and hopefully there is some respite in the future basis, either the government action or maybe respite from the heat wave. But that again, only time will tell. Thank you so much for getting us all those updates. Now from Aurangabad, let's travel to Chennai. Yesterday, we showed you how the Pallavaram Periyar Lake that was once spread over 200 acres today has become a small patch with a pond on one side and a hillock of garbage on the other. The lake falls under the Pallavaram municipality, and the residents claim that an underground sewage line running near the lake area has contaminated the water body. They complain of foul smell, skin and other respiratory issues. They have also blamed the state government agencies for having done nothing at all to save this lake. After our coverage yesterday, the DMK has now reacted, saying that dumping waste is a serious issue and environment is one of the top focuses of the DMK government there, and there will be a visible difference in the next 10 years.
Pollution of water bodies, dumping of municipal waste, toxic waste, letting effluents into water bodies has been a serious issue in the last 20-30 years. It is not that the governments of the day did not care or bother about such happenings. Especially Tamil Nadu has taken immense measures to protect the environment, water bodies, groundwater tables, lakes, ponds, etc.
Dharini joins me on the broadcast with updates on this story. Dharini, so we're seeing again promises from the DMK. In fact, the DMK leader has said that there will be visible difference, but the bottom line here, the thing to be noticed is that there will be a visible difference in the next 10 years. Isn't that too ambitious?
He was talking about all of the water bodies in Tamil Nadu, because not only this particular water body that's located in the suburbs of Chennai, but most of the water bodies apart from Chennai, even in other districts also, they are being spoiled by garbage dumping and sewage water that's being released into the water body directly. So the DMK leader, he told that in the next 10 years steps will be taken to restore all the water bodies that's been spoiled over years now. Talking about this particular water body in Pallavaram, where we reported that the sewage water is being directly let into the water body, and that the underground sewage lines that are running near the water body are broken, and the sewage water is directly let into the water body for almost 3 years now. So talking about this, the DMK's environmental wing secretary Karthikeyan Senadipati, he told that he will take this issue forward to the Tamil Nadu government and request the government to take necessary steps as soon as possible to stop this from happening. And he also assured that in the next a few weeks this issue will be completely resolved, because he told that it's not a one day thing. It will take at least a few weeks to do change in the ground. So he told that he'll be resolved in the coming next weeks. And apart from that, when we spoke to the residents who are living near that, Palavaram Periyeri, who are facing the problems of this, total menace, they told that, they're facing skin-related issues. Especially some people told that their skin is getting peeled off very easily, and that they're facing respiration-related issues. Especially the elder people, they are facing respiration-related issues. They also told that children are very allergic to, the sewage water that's being, that's surrounding their locality totally, and they're also having a foul smell into their houses 24/7. So these are some of the environmental and health impacts that's been created by this issue. As we hear from the DMK's environmental wing secretary, we hope that the issue will be resolved soon. Meanwhile, we also spoke to the Palavaram municipality officials and asked for their explanation, and they told that they look into the issue and resolve it as soon as possible.
Right, Harini, heat wave, water crisis, and the last thing we want here are health issues, which unfortunately people are even facing that, and hopefully there is some action on ground, and again there is some relief for citizens in this particular region. Thank you so much for getting us those details. Now on that note, it's time to slip into a short break, but stay tuned, lots more on the other side. Welcome back. Now, the much-awaited and India's biggest life insurance corporation, IPO, will open for public tomorrow. The price range is pegged between 902 to 949 rupees per equity share, and it will remain open for bidding to the general public from the 4th of May until the 9th of May. Around 15.81 lakh shares have been reserved for employees, and around 2.21 crore shares are reserved for policyholders. In fact, I will soon be joined by my colleague Hina, who will break it down for us. What is this, the entire LIC IPO, whether and how you can get it, and if at all you will be able to get it. Hina?
Well, that's right. Life Insurance Corporation, or LIC, is one company that has truly touched the life of every Indian. As the tagline says, Zindagi ke saath bhi, Zindagi ke baad bhi. And the much-awaited, the mother of all IPOs, is opening. The issue price is 902 to 949 rupees. So that's the band that investors will have to keep in mind. The government has decided to sell 3.5% stock in LIC, the Life Insurance Corporation, which is the biggest public sector insurance company in India. Currently, government holds 100% stake in Life Insurance Corporation, but after this IPO, or initial public offering, an opportunity that is there for all of us to be able to own a share of LIC. The government will be offloading 3.5% stake. With this, the government is planning to get somewhere around 21,000 crore rupees, and it is clearly an opportunity for everyone. Plus, it comes with a discount as well. A specific discount is there for policy holders, and a discount is there for the employees of LIC. For retail investors, it's clearly an important opportunity because some IPOs in the recent past have done really well, and that's the reason why a lot of investors, new investors in the market, are also quite excited about this big LIC IPO initial public offering, and it's all set to now open.
That's right, Hina. Stay with us, because in fact we have some more good news. This seems to be like a good news for the Indian economy. The Commerce Ministry's latest data shows a big jump in India's exports on account of healthy performance by sectors like petroleum products, electronic goods and chemicals. India's exports rose by 24.22% in April, thus resulting in the highest ever exports in April. Hina, let me come back to you on this. Some green shoots there, and it's definitely an opportunity for India where we've risen our export margin. What does this imply? Break it down for our viewers.
Well, amidst the geopolitical tension that we are seeing, especially because of what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, this kind of an export growth is something that needs to be talked about, needs to be celebrated. And at $38 billion, our export growth in the month of April has been a record growth, and the trend has been continuing for quite some time. And this financial year has also begun on a positive note. You will recall a couple of days ago, we had the GST numbers as well for the month of April. Even they were at an all-time high. So in the last few days, two economic indicators, two macro indicators have suggested that things are looking good as far as Indian economy is concerned. But as far as the trade data is concerned that was released today, there is another side of the story as well that needs to be highlighted, and that is about a significant rise in our import bill as well, because of which our trade deficit, the difference between exports and imports, has actually gone up. So in the month of April, India's trade deficit has widened to around $20 billion. In April last year, it used to be around $15 billion. So from last year's April to this year's April, the trade deficit has widened. So if this continues to widen, then it will be a cause of concern. But if we manage to reduce our imports and further increase our exports, then things, of course, are going to be better for India.
Certainly, things will look better when our exports increase. Thank you, Hina, so much for getting us all those details. Well, here's a heart-wrenching incident that has come to light from MP's Bhopal, where a journalist was brutally assaulted by the security guards of a private hospital. Times Network's senior journalist Govind Gujjar was manhandled and assaulted by security personnel just because he wanted to meet his injured daughters and in-laws who had met with an accident while returning from Ujjain. 9 of his family members are admitted in Bhopal's Bansal Hospital, where the incident of assault took place. Meanwhile, an FIR has been registered in this assault case, and the cops are probing the matter.
देखो मुझे तुम लोगों ने बहुत मार दिया मेरे बच्चे मर रहे हैं 9 बच्चे मर रहे हैं एक्सीडेंट में और तुम लोग मुझे कुत्तों की तरह मार रहे हो और ऐसा कर रहे हो प्लीज मैं आपके हाथ जोड़ रहा हूँ प्लीज
इनके बच्चे भर्ती हैं ये बच्चे भर्ती हैं इनने बोला साहब हम मिल सकते हैं वो गार्ड ने मिलने नहीं दिया जबकि झूठा जब्ती कर देने लगे और उसको मारने लगे और कांच का गेट लगा दिया हम लोगों किसी को भी नहीं पूरे गार्ड आ गए 10-15 सब लोगों ने मिलकर मारा उसके लिए हम सब लोगों को बाहर कर दिया बेचारे के मुंह से खून निकल लिया पूरे में देखिएगा आप उसका मोबाइल तक नहीं मिल रहा तो जूतों से मारा था
शर्ट फाड़ दी क्या हाँ सुबह की शर्ट फाड़ी वो भी मिलने आया तो उसको शर्ट मट खींचो के फाड़ दी उन्होंने और 8 दिन पहले मेरा पेशेंट एडमिट उसकी 2 अंगूठी मार दी ना गोल्ड की एच वार्ड से
ऐसा क्यों होता है साहब जी अस्पताल में
Well, India's wheat output is likely to fall this year after 5 consecutive years of record harvests. This as sudden rise in temperature cut crop yields in the world's second biggest producer of the grain. The drop in wheat production could impact the exports of the staple, and the government is yet to formally revise its production estimates, but reports suggest that the output could fall to 105 million tons this year. In 2022, India recorded its warmest March in 122 years, with the maximum temperature across the country rising to 33.1 degrees Celsius, nearly 1.86 degrees above normal. Well, demand for work under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme has been seen an 11% dip in April compared to the same month last year. Data from MGNREGA website showed work demand from households in April stood at 23.2 million, down from 26.1 million in April last year. Now, individual demand fell 13% to 32.8 million from 37.8 million households who demanded a job under the MGNREGA scheme. This should come as a relief to the central government, which had overshot its expenditure on the scheme for 2 consecutive years. Now shifting focus to some political updates, and this one's from Maharashtra. Amid the loudspeaker row, MNS chief Raj Thackeray has asked his party workers to play Hanuman Chalisa in public where there's azan played by the loudspeakers. Earlier, a case had been registered against him in Aurangabad in the backdrop of his recent rally. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has asked Home Minister Dilip Walse Patil to ensure that police do not need to wait for orders and approvals if there is a situation where there could be a peace that's hampered.
मेरे पास पूरी जानकारी है कि महाराष्ट्र से बाहर से कुछ लोगों को लाकर यहाँ दंगे भड़काने की साजिश चल रही है। अपनी खुद की ताकत नहीं है तो बाहर से लोग लाकर यहाँ महाराष्ट्र में अस्थिरता और अनलॉफुल एक्टिविटीज़ करना, ये कोई साजिश चल रही है, सुपारी का काम है। और यहाँ की सरकार, यहाँ की पुलिस सक्षम है परिस्थिति हैंडल करने में।
Well, Section 144 on curfew has been imposed in Jodhpur after clashes broke out yesterday on the eve of Eid. More than 50 people have been arrested so far. The situation in the city continues to remain tense. After a high-level meeting miscalled by Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, Home Minister Rajendra Yadav and ADG Law and Order, along with other senior officials, they have ordered a probe immediately to leave for Jaipur. Two groups clashed over the hoisting of saffron flags on Monday night. In order to maintain law and order, internet services have also been suspended in the city.
जोधपुर में जो तनाव पैदा हुआ है कल देर रात से, वो बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। मैं अपील करना चाहूँगा कि तमाम लोग शांति बनाए रखें और तनाव समाप्त करें, और जो लोग फिर भी ऐसे कोई तत्व एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट आते हैं तो सख्ती से निपटा जाएगा। ये मैंने पुलिस को निर्देश दे दिए हैं।
Meanwhile, politics is continuing over the clashes. Union Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal has alleged that Rajasthan CM Ashok Gehlot is responsible for the clashes in Jodhpur, while Union Minister Gajendra Shekhawat has warned of massive protests if no action is taken.
जोधपुर की घटना घटी है, ये उसी श्रृंखला का परिणाम है जो वर्तमान में जो कांग्रेस की सरकार है, अशोक गहलोत जी के नेतृत्व में चल रही है, उसने तुष्टीकरण की नीति को अपना लिया। चाहे आप करौली की घटना देख लें, चाहे अलवर के राजगढ़ की घटना देख लें, चाहे आप कल रात को घटी घटना जो जोधपुर में घटी जालोरी गेट पे, उसको देख लें। उन सब का परिणाम ये निकलता है हमारी दृष्टि में कि सरकार ने तुष्टीकरण की नीति को अपना लिया, इसलिए कानून व्यवस्था बिगड़ती जा रही है। हमारा इतिहास गवाह है जी, जब जब जिन सरकारों ने तुष्टीकरण की नीति को अपनाया और इस तरह की घटनाएं होती आई है जी, ये तुष्टीकरण की नीति का ही परिणाम है। और इसमें तो मुख्यमंत्री खुद गृह मंत्री है जी, उनको जिम्मेदारी लेनी चाहिए। और उनका इलाका भी है, उनका गृह क्षेत्र भी है, जिम्मेदारी नहीं ले रहे हैं। इसमें आरोप प्रत्यारोप कर रहे हैं कि इसमें वो जिम्मेदार है। अरे भाई, तुम सरकार चला रहे हो, तुम जिम्मेदार हो। क्योंकि इतनी हिम्मत कैसे हुई कि एक कोई स्वतंत्रता सेनानी है जिस पे इस तरह का एक झंडा लग जाए, जिसकी कोई कल्पना नहीं कर सकता कि ऐसा झंडा भी कहीं फहराया जा सकता है क्या।
और मैं तो ये कहूँगा कि जब इतनी दर्दनाक स्थिति मुख्यमंत्री के गृह जिले में हो रही थी, तब मुख्यमंत्री रात को 12 बजे से लेकर के आज दिन में 3 बजे तक, जब उन्होंने एक ट्वीट करके फौरी तौर पर यह कहा कि मैं सबसे अपील करता हूं कि सब लोग शांति सौहार्द बनाए रखें, उससे पहले न तो इस तरह की कोई अपील जारी करते हैं और 3 बजे के बाद में वो दूसरा ट्वीट करके लोगों से ये आग्रह करते हैं कि अभी मुझे कृपया, मैं व्यस्त हूँ इसलिए जो है गुलदस्ते न लेकर के आएँ। तो अंग्रेजी में जो कहावत है कि नीरो फिडल्ड व्हेन रोम वाज बर्निंग, कि जब रोम जल रहा था तो नीरो बांसुरी बजा रहा था, उनका अपना शहर जल रहा था, उनके अपने शहर में दंगा चल रहा था, उनके अपने शहर में जो शहर की आत्मा, शांति, भाईचारा और सौहार्द है उसको फूंका जा रहा था, और वो जन्मदिन के गुलदस्ते लेने में, जन्मदिन की खुशबू जो है शुभकामनाएं लेने में व्यस्त थे।
Now, the Tamil Nadu police are facing heat over the recent custodial deaths in the state. Under pressure, the Tamil Nadu DGP has issued a new order in that no person taken into custody by the police should be inquired after 6 p.m. In fact, anybody who's taken into custody cannot be inquired after 6 p.m. This comes in the backdrop of 2 alleged custodial deaths in Chennai and Tiruvannamalai recently. Dharini joins me on the broadcast. Dharini, so under pressure now, the state police have issued a new order, and according to that, no one can be, interrogated after 6 p.m. once they are in police custody. Can you give us, recap for our viewers? Why has this order been issued? Why is it in place? And what is the background of those custodial deaths?
This order comes in the backdrop of 2 custodial death allegations in Chennai and Tiruvannamalai respectively in recent times. On April 19th, a 25-year-old Vignesh was taken into custody by the Chennai police during their routine night checks. Okay. So as soon as he was taken to the police station for inquiry, the cops are telling that he developed fits amid the inquiry, and he was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment, but unfortunately he died. So that's the narrative that's being told by the cops. But the relatives and family members of Vignesh are alleging that he died due to custodial torture. On the other side, in Tiruvannamalai, on April 27th, Thangamani, an elderly man, he was taken by the Tiruvannamalai police to the police station for inquiry for illegal sale of liquor. So he is also said to have developed fits and died while being taken to a hospital. Again, the parents and relatives of Thangamani are alleging that he died due to custodial torture. So these 2 incidents came as a shocker to the people of Tamil Nadu, and in fact, a CBCID inquiry has been initiated in both of these cases. DGP Shailendra Babu, he transferred both of these cases to the CBCID for further investigation. So in the backdrop of these 2 allegations, today DGP Shailendra Babu, he ordered orally to the senior officials of the department that no custodial accused should be interrogated by the police post 6 p.m. In fact, he has told all the senior officials strictly that no person who is taken under custody by the police should be interrogated within the police station limits after 6 p.m. So this comes in the backdrop of these 2 custodial allegations that I told, death allegations that I told earlier, because those 2 allegations, they actually question the law and order situation in the state. In fact, social activists and people who keep an eye on the police department, they came openly and stated that the law and order situation in the state has become questionable, as a series of custodial death and other crime allegations have been coming to the surface for some time now. So in the backdrop of all this, to try to put the police force in the good space, the DGP has issued this order today, hoping that this will pave a way for the police department to be in the right space among social activists and common public.
Right. Thank you, Dharini, for getting us those updates. Chandigarh is now putting a hold on its orders which restricted unvaccinated children from attending physical classes from the 4th of May. This comes after the Supreme Court observed that no individual in the country could be forced to get vaccinated. Chandigarh had earlier issued an order to restrict unvaccinated children in the age group of 12 to 18 years from attending physical classes from the 4th of May. Now, the total number of deaths due to COVID have surpassed 5 lakhs. According to a latest report by the Government of India, nearly 5,23,000 people have died due to COVID. The report also reveals that birth registrations have decreased by nearly 6 lakhs in 2020 as compared to 2019. Meanwhile, death registrations have increased by 4.7 lakh in the year of 2020 as opposed to 2019. Let's now shift focus to some sports updates. The BCCI has released a roadmap of crucial dates and also said that the mega final of the T20 League tournament will be held at the Narendra Modi Stadium on the 29th of May. Now, apart from that, the Women's T20 Challenge also resumes this year, and the city of Pune will host the 4th edition of this particular tournament. Karishma joins me on the broadcast. Karishma, so what exactly has the BCCI said with regards to the roadmap going forward? Of course, it is also declared that the IPL tournament final will be held in Ahmedabad at Namo Stadium, and also take us through the other tournament dates.
Well, yes, the BCCI today officially declaring the playoff dates and venues. To start with, qualifier 1 and eliminator are going to be played in Kolkata at the Eden Gardens, and the final and another qualifier are going to be played in Ahmedabad at the Narendra Modi Stadium. Apart from that, as far as the women's IPL is concerned, that exhibition tournament is going to happen in Pune. There were talks about it happening in Lucknow earlier, but it is now going to be held in Pune itself, and the format is going to be the same as it was in the earlier years, and it is going to happen between May 23rd to May 28th, 28th being the final, because remember 29th is the final of the IPL, so a day before that the women's IPL final will be held, and from next year onwards we will have a full-fledged women's IPL as well to look forward to. So clearly BCCI today coming out and confirming all these important details once again for our viewers. Playoffs, qualifier 1 and eliminator in Kolkata, qualifier 2 and final at Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, and the women's exhibition tournament in Pune.
All right, Karishma, thank you for getting us a roundup of all those updates from the BCCI. Now on the entertainment front, it's known as the Oscars for fashion industry and the platform for the wackiest and out-of-the-box outfits. Met Gala 2022 was held in New York, and this year's theme was Gilded Glamour. Headturners at the red carpet include actor Blake Lively, the co-host Vogue editor Anna Winter, actor Vanessa Hudgens, Amy Schumer, comedian Mindy Kaling, singer Billie Eilish, world's richest man and Tesla CEO Elon Musk, among others. Sophie Turner, who flaunted her baby bump in style. Sophie Turner appeared with her husband Joe Jonas at the Met Gala. Turner was wearing a floor-length embellished black gown. So right there, Joe attended the Met Gala wearing a black and white tuxedo. Well, Kim Kardashian wore Marilyn Monroe's iconic 1962 dress at the Met Gala. Marilyn wore the dress to President John F. Kennedy's birthday event back then and sang Happy Birthday, Mr. President in it, and now this gown has been donned by Kim Kardashian.
I had this idea to put it on and try it on, and then they came with like armed guards and gloves, and I tried it on and it didn't fit me. And so I looked at them and I said, give me like 3 weeks. And I had to lose 16 pounds down today to be able to fit this. But it was such a challenge. It was like a roll. Right. I was determined.
Well, among the big names that made appearance at the Met Gala in New York was the world's richest man and Twitter new owner Elon Musk. The billionaire brought his mother, May, along with him and also, more importantly, shared his vision for Twitter. Musk said that he intends to make Twitter as all-inclusive as possible and free of bots. He outlined a mix of vague principles and technical details as he looks to make the platform, quote-unquote, maximum fun.
The goal that I have, should everything come to fruition with Twitter, is to have a service that is as broadly inclusive as possible, where ideally most of America is on it and talking. I've also vowed this publicly that we have to get rid of the bots and trolls and the scams and everything, because that's obviously diminishing the user experience, and we don't want people getting tricked out of their money and that kind of thing. So I'm definitely on the warpath. So if somebody's operating a bot and troll on me, I'm definitely their enemy.
Well, here's a proud moment for Indian cinema enthusiasts. India will be the country of honor at the Cannes Film Market. The event is scheduled from the 17th to the 25th of May, and it will see an exclusive screening of Pratibandhi, a rare movie of the Indian legend Satyajit Ray. Bollywood actor Deepika Padukone has also been announced as part of the competition jury, along with other prestigious names as actor-filmmaker Rebecca Hall and Iranian filmmaker Asghar Farhidi. Now, abortion rights supporters held demonstrations outside the U.S. Supreme Court. The demonstrations came after a U.S. news publisher released a report which suggested that the apex court could ban abortions nationwide. However, it is still unclear that the draft report accessed by the news publisher represents the court's final word on the matter or not. In the landmark decision in 1973, the Supreme Court had passed a decision which determined that the right to an abortion is protected under the US Constitution.
Great! You kill kids, you believe in dead children. I wouldn't let you babysit my children.
Society must provide more financial, emotional, and legal support for women rather than allow them to be exploited by the abortion industry.
Well, in some more international updates, Danish Foreign Minister Kofod paid a visit to Kiev for the reopening of the Danish embassy. The Foreign Minister also met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev. Kofod said that the visit showed the full support from the Danish side on transfer of weapons, sanctions on Russia, among others. The Nordic leaders' meeting comes as its neighbours, Sweden and Finland, are debating joining NATO. However, Moscow has warned that such a move would have consequences without giving specifics.
We reopen our embassy here in Kiev physically, and it's a really important sign and support to Ukraine, showing that we are here with our ambassador and diplomatic staff. And secondly, of course, with the meetings I had with President Zelensky, and also my good colleague Kuleba and others, to convey the full support from the Danish side on all tracks, on weapon donations, on humanitarian and rebuilding assistance, on sanctions, on political support, that we are behind Ukraine. So that is very important for me to convey that in person.
Well, before we wrap up, here on Nation Tonight, we want to leave you with a thought-provoking story. Here is a visual from Kerala that shows an elephant charging at a bus full of safari tourists. A Forest Service officer shared the video cautioning people to keep safe distance from wild animals. The video that quickly went viral, attracting reactions from netizens, it has now garnered lots of comments. Take a look at that video first. Well, what do you gauge from this video? Is the group of tourists who are petrified? Certainly, but interestingly, netizens have highlighted how the elephant here seems to be more scared because they have lost trust in humans. Now, safari tourism is popular worldwide, but as it becomes more popular, it's worth noting that we often don't know how tourism affects the animals we observe. And that brings us to ask how responsible we are towards our environment, climate and habitat around us. So who is the animal here and who needs more tutoring? We leave you with that thought. Thank you for watching.